Today we're doing the full day. We learn prototyping from paper to digital. It consists two parts. One is the paper part and the second one is the digital part. Once you go through this whole day, you will understand or know how you go from such a small little paper model to a final bag. My name is Flavia Bohn. I am originally from Switzerland, but right now I'm based in the Netherlands where I have my own studio and I provide service to develop design for different companies. It's bigger companies, smaller companies, and you see it's a bit all over the place. It's not just fashion related. I do also product design. I develop also art pieces. Fashion definitely, a lot of bag design I do, and film costumes or furniture even. And also I design a lot of events and organize events for creative people who want to learn make stuff. You're welcome to check out my website. You can read a little bit more about it and see how things look like when I work on it. Or also check out my Instagram. I'm happy also to follow you to see your progress and what you're doing later. So as you saw, I started as a fashion designer. Actually, I started in a very classical way. I learned tailoring. 3 years was my education in tailoring, where I stitched wedding dresses, gowns, and like costumes for ladies. It was all about stitching, getting a line really straight, and getting all the little details right, learning how to make pockets and all the details of clothing. But then I moved on and I studied fashion design, fashion and product design actually. And you see right now, after 10 years, I do all kinds of stuff. It doesn't matter, it doesn't need to be fashion related. These are all disciplines in design, furniture design, event design, bag design. It's all kind of the same, and it has one thing in common, which is it starts all with an idea. Someone has a crazy idea, it pops up in the head, and what do you do with that idea? Usually you want to make it happen because you really believe in it, and it could be something that you can make a living of it. You have maybe a solution for your clients. You can make their lives better. You can make their lives more beautiful, or you add some functionality to their life. So what you ideally want to do, you want to end up with a final product, like this bag. So what is in between from the idea to the final product is called prototyping. And this is what I spend most of my time. I do loads of prototyping. And what is prototyping? It is basically the time where you test your idea. You visualize it. You define the shape, overall shape, the functionality, what is it for, and the material. So, and the thing is, it comes like during prototyping, there are like many aspects that come together. That's kind of the beauty of it. It's all, the whole design process can be in prototyping. As mentioned, it starts with an idea. When you have an idea and you go to your friend or to your colleague and say like, okay, I want to make a bag. I want to make a weekender bag. So my clients can go for a weekend trip or a short work trip. So If I tell you this, you would probably all imagine something completely different, and everyone would make a different bag. But you are the designer, you had the idea, you have a clear idea, but you can't make it yourself maybe. So you have to visualize your idea. And that you can quickly do either with a sketch, that's like the usual way of how most designers work, or you can also make little models. This model tells you a lot more than just words. You know now exactly this is the shape. Okay, maybe material is still open. This can be interpreted in many ways, but at least you know this is the bag in the shape that I want. Material. You have to add material to your shape. And here it gets already another layer to it. It can turn out in many ways. This bag in leather or in textile is a complete different story. Also the colors, completely different, the feel and that you add to your product. So you have to test these different materials to see if it fits your brand. Is this a material that my client wants? Or does it actually work with your shape? Because that's usually the biggest problem. Does the material that I imagine actually work like this? And then you usually end up with the construction. So leather is completely different structured than a textile bag. Leather probably is a bit firmer, even though this is very drapey, but still it has some body to it. If you use a fabric, if you do that in Ankara fabric, it would probably collapse completely. So you would need some reinforcements. You need to also stitch it differently. Leather, you could top stitch it on top of each other. Ankara, you need to do stitch and turn, or you do a French seam, or there are many ways how you can build that bag. So already these three aspects tell you a lot, and you can discover, you can experiment. So it's a long process, and you can go back and forth, and you constantly have to compare. Does this material work with my idea? Does my idea also work with my construction? Everything is connected. And then immediately you go to the costs. It's a very boring topic, but it's also probably the most important topic. Because in the end, you make a product that your audience or your followers needs to buy. Can they afford it? Can you afford it? The materials? So you will experiment and see, okay, this is like really difficult. I need a lot of reinforcement. I need different materials and trims and everything. Then you immediately see, all right, this is the cost. A leather can be very expensive. Do you need to get a cheaper material that still has the luxury feel of a leather? So here you can experiment as well. And I always start, when I start prototyping, I start also an Excel sheet for all the costs. So I always make all the notes with the costs, and I constantly have an overview of what I'm actually going to spend and potentially also earn. So keep that always in mind, because in the end you're also a business person. You're not just a designer, you need to be a business person. So to make your idea actually work in the real world. Another important thing, which is also important for you, especially for tomorrow, these prototypes, you can show that to your investors. They will immediately see they see some skill in it, they see the shape. They can imagine something, and they can see the potential in you. Even though this is just cheap paper, nothing really exciting, it looks even a bit silly because it's so small. But you can say, look, this is gonna be your weekender, gonna be this big, this material. You add a mood board to it. So you open up a full world. And your investor can also imagine, this is a brand, okay, I could imagine to invest in that. So you secure a little bit them and they know what they will get by putting the money on you. So also keep that in mind today. If you're making a model, think about what you're going to pitch. Maybe you can show it tomorrow. And the good thing is you don't need to talk, you know? That's the problem, right? You're all probably going to be nervous about talking tomorrow. Same with me, I have that too. So you can also just show something like this. And maybe this is the thing that attracts the people. And yeah, your talking is then just like, okay, yeah, I get it, but I want this back. All right, I give you my money. Do it. Or I want to see if you can make it. So, yeah. Build, test, and analyze all at the same time. So you see, you get highly efficient. Efficient means you save time, you save costs, and you lower the risk. These days, or it used to be, yeah, like the normal way to do things, prototyping was always sent outside. When a brand, big brands especially, they come up with an idea, they probably make a sketch, make a little, like some details, write down some details. They're gonna send this tech sheet to their manufacturers. Let's say they are in China. They, with the tech sheet, they have to make a prototype, and then they will send it back after a few weeks. They don't do that like zack zack. They have loads of work usually to do. So you get it back in a few weeks, and then you realize, they didn't add the pocket. I forgot to add the pocket on the tech sheet. Or they top stitched it. I didn't want top stitch. Why did they take a contrast color? And like all these things, you know, people, they just interpret it and they don't have time. They want to be efficient. They want to make that prototype. Next one, next client. So you have to update your tech sheet with more details, do all the changes to your design, send it back to China, and they have to make a second prototype. And this can go on and on and on and on until you're really happy. And I know these processes can take sometimes 6 months up to a year, which is crazy. And also just think about the costs, you know, FedEx all the time. It's crazy what you pay for this stuff. And it also takes a little bit the motivation off, or like the excitement. It's like at some point you can't see your design anymore and you start not believing in it anymore. And you don't want that. So, because that's the exciting part, right? To create and make. Communication, I also find something, yeah, that is highly important. This prototyping is a way to communicate. As said, if I explain you my idea just with words, it can be completely something else than what you actually see here. When you do dresses, and I do use this technique sometimes for clothing, when I do details on clothing, when I want to try, like, okay, I want a pleating for here, so I can just quickly fold this and I try, where could it work? What could it be? You can play around like this. Or also for pockets, I use it a lot, for different colors. If you want to have like a special cuff or some, yeah, I don't know, some interesting details. This is also a quick way to design and come up with new ideas. And important is, please always take pictures. If you have with this, take a picture like that, take a picture like that, like this. Copy it, do it on both sides. Play around with it. And you will all of a sudden come up with an idea that you never thought about it. Try it like this. So now I would say we get all the cutting mats, we get scissors, tape, some pens, and we start. Good? Yeah.